Okay, we'll go ahead and actually start the actual class. This is a question and answer class. I will not be lecturing. If the questions and answers, that way everybody can get the questions hopefully answered. My name or my title is Amun Nebu, and I'm a student of the master teacher, Polarization, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. I'm a Nebu, or master of Yananan, or Abba Yananan. When you ask the question, please make sure or do your best to, for those who already know how this class works, please have your questions written down and be very precise when you're asking a question as far as the location of where you're coming from. So if you say, I'm from the Holy Tablets, chapter 4, tablet 1, verse 3. And then from the actual fact, actual fact, number, and also page this, verse that. That way it will help us narrow it down a little further so we can better answer your question. Okay? Now, if you don't have it written down, don't worry about it. You just know it. You develop a question in your mind. Please ask it. There is no such thing as a stupid or dumb question. Everybody on this call is on different levels, but everybody on this call is on the same level, being that we are all students. And like I said, I'm a student that happens to be teaching right now, making multiple attempts to teach. Okay? So don't think that you feel behind or left out or this and that. So if you don't understand any of the words or titles that I mentioned, please write it down and ask it after the person is done asking the question or, and saying, teaching. So we'll go ahead and start and open up the floor with the first question from the room. If you're not asking a question at this time, please mute your phone so there's no background noise. So we'll go ahead with the first question.
Yes,
sir. Yes, go ahead with your question.
This is Brother Bruce Jarrett. My question is Master Secrets, series number 19, the spiritual you after the physical you died. And my question is on page 7. 46 is the start of the question, and my question is that when you lay down at night in sleep paralysis, is that the end of your life? At that point, you wake up the next morning to see another day?
Kind of, but more specifically and scientifically, so we can get right down to the physical properties of what's going on. When you have what they call sleep paralysis, some people in religion say you got the witch on your back or the devil on your back. What happens is when you go to sleep, when you close your eyes and begin to rest and fall into sleep, excuse me, once your body has calmed down fully from its work throughout the day, it triggers to the brain, because we have many mechanisms in our body. One mechanism would be like if you yawn and another person yawns, it's a mechanism. This mechanism, the one you're talking about now, is also another mechanism. Meaning, when the body finally rests and is quiet, a trigger is sent to the brain, and the brain releases a chemical that it starts from the upper portion of the cervical region. In the neck, there are 7 bones. Spinal bone. The topmost portion bone is called the odontoid. And the odontoid bone, behind or in from that particular bone, that portion of the brain, in the back portion of the brain, if you feel your neck right now, go from the top bone. If you can't feel the top bone, you can use another portion of your head as a marker. That knot on the back of your head, the knot on the back, if everybody can feel that. If you can't feel it, it's that knot where if you didn't do your dishes when you were younger, your mom used to smack you in the back of the head. Right there, if you didn't do your dishes. That's called your occipital notch. A notch in medical terminology meant like a protrusion or a bump. So that whole back portion of the skull, that plate, is called the occipital plane. So each plate of the skull is called planes, like a puzzle. So the back portion is the occipital plane. that little knot is called the occipital notch. If you go down 1 inch or 2 inches down from that, that's where that first cervical bone is, the dental. But in that behind that, in that portion of the brain, there's a chemical that releases and coats over the brain all the gray matter and white fatty tissue in the brain. It coats it over, and it puts the body in a slight state of paralysis. So at this point, this allows you to go ahead and allow your etheric body to go out and do what it has to do. So at that point, after that, it does what it has to do. Sometimes that chemical, that fluid, that liquid, wears off a little bit. So your brain wakes up and goes, oh, what the heck is happening? Because your brain is trying to make everything like real, like physical. Whereas when you're in the sleep state, you're working on your, spiritual soul part of you. So your brain wakes up and says, what the heck is going on right now? But your etheric body, your etheric body is still out there handling its business. But your brain already woke up. So you're there, you can open your eyes, you can hear everything, but nobody can hear you. You can't say anything, but you're screaming in your head, like, what's happening? But they can't hear you out there. You're doing that in your head. So it's not until the etheric body comes back, and it's able to go out and come back, for those who don't know, with that etheric cord, just as you have an umbilical cord from you to your mom, you have an etheric cord that goes out and connects it, and that's what allows you to bring your etheric self back. When that etheric body comes back into your physical body, you hear like these rushing winds, like this. You hear like all this thing, and this is why you get up out of breath, because it's a physical, it's a literal thing happening with your etheric body coming back into your physical body, and you're taking that big blast of air once again to fill up your areolas and lung cavity, chest cavity, so, and exhale, just like the first inhale, exhale you did when you were born and you came literally out of the womb. That sound of KHO, that sound, which is the sound of the tongue leaving the upper palate or the upper portion or roof of the mouth, dropping down, allowing the air or shawal, air, to go in, fill the lungs, and then that next sound is the exhale. So the first inhale and exhale of this draft liquid air that we call air. So it's a similar thing. So that's why I said kind of, yes, as well as also what we're referring to now. So the physical act of you taking an inhale, exhale is the proof of one portion of you or a certain part of you, which is the etheric part, was out there and came back in, not in time, before the brain woke back up again. But does that make sense today?
Yes, it does. I was just wondering because sometimes when we lay down at night and we drop through those different levels to get to a point of sleep paralysis, then we were able to transform or move on. Sometimes you get caught in those levels of dropping down, and if you're not strong enough, so to speak, you can have problems trying to get back to where you was.
Yes, and what you're talking about now is mentioned in study book 16, class P, called the Science of Healing scroll number 139. So once again, that's the Science of Healing scroll number 139, study book 16, class P. And it talks about polarization. When you are in that state, like a meditative state, and you're doing concentrated exercise, or also if you stay in that a certain type of state too long, your light will drop down so low that you can become a vegetable. And that's what we're talking about in the Science of Healing scroll.
So would that be safe to say that when you lay down and go through those levels, you actually die, and then when you wake up, you're going through another life, because we've been given just so many lives on this planet, and every time that you lay down and go to sleep or go through sleep paralysis, you lose one of those lives. That be safe to say?
As far as losing a life, I'm not sure. I don't know. But I would, as far as this scientifically, what actually happens on the gas realm, it's more of just a separation, because the physical body is still breathing. That's why I'm answering like that, because you are still breathing. There's not a cutoff of oxygen to the brain, neural centers, and heart, and the system, circulatory system. Everything's still working. So that's what I say. In that sense, I would say no, it's not so much a death, but it's more of a separation, because your sarat, your etheric cord, there is no breakage of that. There's no severage of the physical body and the etheric body. The sarat, that etheric cord, is still intact, is still being connected, and both bodies are still being fed with life energy. So that's why, if I would answer that, I would say no. It's more of a just a experience, out of body experience, where your physical, your etheric body is doing its work, where the physical body is just more put to rest at ease, close to more of a comal state.
Would that be still considered as rapid eye movement?
Yeah, rapid eye movement does happen during that time, yes. But then there's a subtopic to that. We can have, during that time you also can be dreaming. Like the Bahyanana was telling us that if you're like dreaming about you're a king, or ruling the land, that's more of a dream. And then he said, I'm not quoting word for word, but now if beings are coming to you while you're asleep and you're being given instructions, that's a vision. So this is also when those things happen.
So is that still recording when those beings come to you? Is that still recording on your disc also?
Yes, your NORAD, your dice disc, yes. Mm-hmm. And your sarat, even the etheric core, is also a recorder.
Okay, thank you.
So you're welcome. So we'll go back now and read verse 46 for those who don't have this particular master secret. This is called the Master Secrets. The spiritual you after the physical you dies. Series number 19, page 7, verse 46. At that very point, it was Fajula, recorded as a glitch. Yet life went onward for you on up to your Marat, death. You will have a choice to enter the pale white light of Katmud, creation, a new life, the War cycle, or you are given a choice to enter the multicolored illumination spiral, if you agree to enter this one. So that also brings up another point, the glitch. Certain colors that will brought to our attention as being at this state, certain colors stand for certain things, depending on what being is teaching, depending on what planet you're on and on and on. So with colors, you have certain colors that we can see right now only because we're vibrating at a certain level or a low level. We're still kind of out of tune. So we only see a certain mood or expression of that color, which is a low expression. Not realizing that there's a higher mood or higher expression or ultimate expression of that color. So for example, green. Green will be used by the overseers, watchers, protectors, guardians, what we call Memphians or Memphians. Green is used as a glitch in order to achieve certain feats that they feel necessary. For example, our astral mutation that we're being prepared for to change, you say, for the astral, meaning out there, to take our journey out to the stars. That might be necessary to use a glitch. which is the color green, as they teach us, which goes to some places like Draco star system. But if you go back, I'm going to use a previous reference in the Holy Tablet, just to prove to the naysayers that what's being written now, they say, well, a lot of stuff is written now, that's not the Massachusetts. So I'm proving now how this verse, we can reference this, cross-reference this with some people say the older doctrine, the previous doctrine, which is in the Holy Tablet. It talks about green being a lower state, but the true state or true color of green is actually purple. So we know it's purple. And this is why in ancient Tamareo, Egypt, purple was used as a symbol of royalty, like purple curtains and on and on and on. Okay? So these glitches that you read about in verse 46, page 7, some of these glitches, they appear as colors. For those that still kind of familiar with what we're referring to, if you turn on the light during the shower or at night when you're going to sleep, wait about 30 seconds till your eyes get adjusted. And out the corner of your eye sometimes, whether it be the right or left, you'll see like a color, like a blob or like a haze. But every time you go to look at it, you can never center it, because if you look into the right, it will move to the right. It's always in the corner of your eye. That's one of the appearances it can look like, is glitches. And these glitches are used, like I said, for many different reasons by our overseers, watchers, protectors, guardians, covered and forwarded. Next question from the room.
Rahubat? Well, I have a question regarding the teachings back in the late 90s, early 2000s, how Baba referred to us as Moors, especially in one of the books. I don't have the book with me. It was posted on Facebook by another sister. So do we still call ourselves Moors? I mean, or was that for that time, that school of thought?
Right. Your staff for that school of thought, no, we're not calling ourselves Moor anymore. But before we get into that actual word, right now, do you have the website, the Sabaean culture?
Do I have it, what?
The website, the information to our website. I'll give you, do you have a pencil and paper?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. It's called Sabaean culture, and I'll explain. I just want to give it to you first, make sure that you have the reference to research. S as in Sam, A, B as in boy, A, E, A, N as in Nancy, Sabaean culture.com. And when you go there, you'll see why it is a beautiful layout of the historical accounts, our customs, rituals, prayer systems, language, etc. So us as Sabaeans, this is our title now. Sabaeans or Sabati. Our doctrine, of course, Wu-Sabat is when you put the Wu or and in front of it. And it will give you a layout and explain, like you said in the beginning of this class, of what our culture and customs, but even our hairstyles, what the sisters as well as the brothers wear on their third eye, on and on and on. And the Moorish, that was, like you said, yes, a school of thought. Taking us we have to go through all these things that we were called and lived by in order to get all the way back to where we came from. So our journey now is us as Sabati, or Sabians, or a queen of Sheba, Saba. And you will see that that region will take you from Ethiopia, Eritrea, like you can know in the class, all the way over to this Arabian Peninsula, the bottom portion, meaning like Yemen, the Hijaz Peninsula, Hijaz Mountains, and that region, even including Sudan and Egypt. And when you research that, you see that there was we also had a lush history in that area also, because Arabia was a part of Africa. And this is why, as you said earlier, there's a lot of natural resources there, because our guardians, ancestors, left us with natural resources. That's in Africa, but it's also in Arabia. That's why, prior to the Arabu or Arabians being there, that was Africa. Prior to the Red Sea or Red Sea, the opening, allowing water to come in, that was all part of it. So when you go to the SiberianCulture.com site, it'll give you a beautiful layout of everything as far as what school they're in now. Even our chants, prayers, rituals, our diet even, the male and female salvation, etiquette, and livelihood, religious history, on and on and on. They'll give you a beautiful layout, sis. And I'll recommend also print it out. Make notes on it. Use it like as if it's a book, as if it's a scroll. And, mark it up. You should have references and cross-references. You should do, and put it in a folder, because you can use this little insert I'm just putting here. I just put in the class. You can use this information. This will help you for our advanced doctrine class, which will be on Wednesdays. Okay? Should be on Wednesdays, and that's when we're doing a lot of cross-reference. We take a specific topic and dive into it and do serious dissection of it. So that's you can use that for two purposes. Does that make sense?
Wow.
Okay.
So
not just that's the opposite. So references, you can also use this to get more information on that particular school you're in. The United Wu-Nuwapu Nation of Moors Constitution. You can also go to Let's Set the Record Straight scroll, the revised version as well. You can go to the Ashu Tax scroll, the Sheikh Diary versus W.D. Fard scroll number 165. Those are some of them. The reason I'm saying go back and research that old school, because now once you read and get updated on our website, and you go back now, you're like, oh, okay, I see why we went from this to this or this. So you can see for yourself, and you'll see the similarities of how, even though we were in that school calling ourselves those titles, he was still teaching actual facts. It just through that particular school. Just how he was teaching what he's teaching now through the Ansar school, he's going through Islam and Judaism, all that. It was just, each level is taught at a high, the information taught at a higher level. Okay? Okay. Next question from the room. Oh, just real quick while people are thinking about the question. Please, with everything that's going on now, please make sure that the language is so important, and I'm speaking to myself too. It helps so much, because we have a lot of people who are doctrine heavy, and when you learn the language, it will just help you understand Wu-Sabat, our culture, as well as the doctrine, even 10 times more. Because it's a tone, like the master said, this is a genetic doctrine. It's an organism. It's growing. So this is why they're going through different schools, because this doctrine is alive. It's growing like an amoeba or a cell. That's why it's never going to stay the same. It's going to grow. Same principle, but growing and getting higher and more advanced. But with that, thanks to Todd Maad, give a shout out to him. Tahuti Harar, Tahuti Wedge, Memphis, those brothers, along with many others. Thanks to them, it's helped me understand the doctrine even more. So please, let's not forget about the language. Next question from the room. Okay, we have a question coming in from our chat room on YouTube. Okay, so we have it coming from Actual Facts. 18 plus 18 equals 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. Series number 22, page 150 to 153. Okay, this is more of the reference behind the Moors that the brother Todd Ray said to me. So I'll just read this. This is for the sister who had a question about the Moors. I'm not sure which edition you're coming from, but I'll just open up both editions because there's two, only the revised version. Okay, page 70, verse 150 to 153. These hybrids poisoned the land of Africa, mixing the tongue of the Arabic with the African tongue, Bantu, to create Swahili from the Arabic word Tawahili, which means coast, and is still spoken today. Verse 151. And serving those on the east coast of Zanzibar, along with those Africans who helped them. A Latin name was given, Morenos, which means darks, blacks, and they called themselves Muslims and gave them Islamism. Those Africans who did not convert were called in Latin Negroes, blacks, or Zinji of Zanzibar. So the Moors are those Africans who accepted Islamism as Muslims, who helped the hybrid Arab slave traders. They were given a scarlet red fez to symbolize a free slave or immunity, being protected from death by their Yahweh of the Elohim, Anakim. We refer to Joshua 2, verse 18. And it says, behold, when you come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, which thou didst let us go down by, and thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all thy father's household home into thee. So the scarlet thread, that would be the scarlet thread. These same hybrids further poisoned the land of Africa, enforcing their mythological religious beliefs and practices such as New Yoruba, New Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and many others. And Africa would never be the same. This is the spell of Leviathan. It gives a reference referred to the Holy Tablets, chapter 3, point. So this is why we dropped the name Mills. Goes to school. So with that, I'm not ready for that reference. I can't take credit for that. Very good reference. All right. Next question from the room. Okay. So just to give a recap, while people think about the question, I'm just going to do a recap real quick what happened in the advanced doctrine class. That way for anybody who missed it, that wants to participate and wants to be on time with their homework assignment, you can have it. We were starting the symbols, researching any throughout the doctrine for any symbols that pertain to us as Sabatu, as Sabians, as well as anything pertaining to our culture, references pertaining to our culture, or Sabatu, or Sabians. One was the symbols, and one was our cultural reference. So that was the assignment that's going to be presented by brothers and sisters on Wednesdays. This kind of Wednesday at the advanced doctrine class. That's a question from the room.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
It's from the Master Secrets, series number 5. And the name of it is The Secret of Tones and the Memphians Elixir of Life. And my question is on page 11, number 77 through number 88.
77 to 78?
77 to 88.
88.
And it has to do with bent time. And I was wondering how that interacts with negative energy and space-time.
Okay. So I'll read it first for those that don't have this particular, this one has to do the Master Secrets. So this is called the Master Secrets. Pagadash Chaliri Naham At Wupa Makufat. The Secrets of Tones and the Makufat Elixir of Life, series number 5, page 11, verses 77 to 88. So what is the line for line, word for word? As they enter this dimension, or fly in and out of sight, seen as metal crafts. Okay, stop. We have to stop there. And this is an example of what we do in the advanced doctrine plan. You can go on We cannot go on until we understand everything, every word that we're not thinking. That way, once we get down to the last verse, or the end of the question, we both will understand the question even before the answer is given. So, the way a lot of crafts are made, as the master teacher put us, it's made out of an energy field, an energy matrix, and it's formed into a crystal or a particular alloy. The meaning behind that, or the purpose behind that, is when you have an energy matrix, a crystal is now consciousness here. It can be energy can be stored in crystals, and it could be, if you know the ritual, you can have the crystal give up the information for the energy. Okay? This is also mentioned in Astral Pattern 18, tone, sound, DNA, the vibrations, molecules, of vibration frequencies. Astral Pattern 18. You also want to reference emotional energy, Astral Tract number 17, and feeding the force of Astral Pattern number 2. So as they enter this dimension or fly in and out of sight, seen as metacrafts. Yet what is necessary to make it possible is the exotic matter to regenerate the alteration of Wakut, space-time. So what certain beings will do, let's start there, what certain craft will do, let's say like the Nebu or Nebu, they would create a bubble in space and time. And in that bubble, there will be a zero time reference made. And from there, now it gives those beings an opportunity, that craft an opportunity to take time in front of it, things in front of it, pull it to it, and then those things that are at it, meaning the craft, will push back. So the craft isn't really moving. It's yanking time, just how you're climbing up you're rock climbing. You're pulling the rope down so you can go up, and then whatever's at the rope that's at you is going behind you, is pushing back. So it's like that. So imagine that, but rather than you moving, just the rope is moving and you're getting to the proper location. So that's that bubble effect. And this is what very similar to what we used to call dur or sayang, which is vortexes or wormholes or gates. I'll give you a reference for that sentence. Wu-Nuwapu study number 6, page 3, verse 16. Dimensional shift, page 10, verse 98, and on. Okay, so you cover. Verse 79. You see, space is not empty, so the Sabat craft will have to rest in a warp bubble. There it is, right there. In a warp bubble or pocket between the two space-time distortions. Exotic matter or white dust, liquid gold. It is matter which has a gravitational attraction of less than zero. So this, and we'll stop there, this exotic matter or white dust liquid gold is given now said, also called exotic matter. It's also called in science monotomically rearranged elements. Okay? This is also called the spitter of the gods. Many, many other names that's used, and this is one of the reasons why Mukazi or Caucasians are going into Africa, finding the dead bodies of the deceased pharaohs, if you will, rounding up their bones, making what they call shoe bread, making drinks out of our bones and drinking it, hopefully getting that Memphians or liquid gold that was in the bodies of our ancestors. As each of you must become, just as you do while you dream, the Akal mind moves as fast as the speed of light minus 9 points. This is why while you are dreaming and you try to run from something or someone, it's as if your Hatat body is slowed down. We were just talking about that. You can't seem to run fast enough to get away. That is because nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, 186,272.07 miles per second. So as your Akal mind approaches close to it, you slow down Wakut time and Bara'ah space by 9 points. That actual Wakut time moves forward for 9 steps backward. Protect your Akal mind while you dream and your body is ruled by your mind, will become matter with the property of a Memphis, negative energy, destiny. Unlike normal matter, which has a positive energy. Okay. So could I ask you a question again now, now that we got to the end?
The question was basically about space-time and bit-time. Mm-hmm. What basically is the difference between the two? Because in order for crafts to come in space-time, they have to bend time on this level to get through, correct?
Yes. If they travel interdimensionally. So a lot of the crafts are interdimensional crafts, like Nebu, if you will. But there are some crafts that just travel very fast. So that's the catch. When you read when you go to our middle path of our doctrine, you'll find a series of extraterrestrial series scrolls. And then the one in particular is the Mission Earth and the Extraterrestrial Environment. Scroll number 82, study book 3, class C. And it talks about how certain craft that move a certain speed, depending on if they are using time or manipulating time, or if they're just traveling at fast speeds, if they still have to abide by the laws of planets, etc. So the ones that have to abide by the laws of that governed by, let's say, a planet, they wouldn't be traveling interdimensional as far as bending space, but they would, if you go to page 27, it says, how are they able to power these underground cities? And I'm answering this for a reason. Saying this for a reason. They use the energy from the energy grid that surrounds the Earth, or simply tap into the magnetic force in the Earth. Now, these are the same things with the craft. Each craft has a north and south pole, a magnetic pole on it. And it's also said that if you see something or a craft with a ring around it, like Saturn, let's say, it has plasma in that particular hula hoop that's around it, but in the plasma there's stuck it's like a metal pole, and on the end of the pole there's like a huge ball, and that ball floats and goes around in this plasma, creating this force, if you will, to travel and bend time, etc. So we're going to go through. We've got a page. We're still on a mission to Earth. Extraterrestrial Environment, scroll number 82. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right, so, okay, now other crafts, it says, other crafts just use gravity. Some crafts use propulsion. Some crafts use magnetism. Now, once again, I'm saying to say that, yes, you're right about them bending time, but also certain ones that don't bend, there are certain ones that don't bend time, but are able to use other forces, let's say on this planet or other planets, to travel at tremendous speed to the point where they may look like they're just popping up and reappearing. It says, page 90, why do you use the term IFO for these flying objects? The term flying saucers was first coined by a reporter in 1947 AD, after hearing a report made by pilot and businessman Kenneth Arnold. Arnold was flying near Mount Rainier, Washington, where he saw 9 UFOs flying in formation. He described the craft as being similar to a stone or saucer skipping across the water. The point is, by virtue of the fact that any flying object of unknown or alien origin is labeled such and that is identified. How do IFOs, which is identified flying objects, use magnetism to power their flying saucers? That's his answer. To the extraterrestrials, magnetism is one of the most important and valuable assets on the planet Earth. The different crafts fly in various patterns. Some soar, some skip, and some give the appearance of falling like leaves. When you see this, it gives the pendulum effect, swaying back and forth. Then there are saucers that wobble on their axis. Extraterrestrial crafts are run by systems of propulsion. Propulsion is a driving forward of a force or impulse. These crafts have been known to make 45 and 90-degree angles at the speed of 18,000 miles an hour. This defies the laws of aerodynamics. That's what we were talking about. In a go so fast, it appears the light is disappearing, but it's not bending time. In order to understand how extraterrestrial crafts entered into the solar system, know that gravity plays a big part in this. Gravity is the natural force that makes an object move towards each other or towards the center of the Earth. This is caused by the gravitation of the Earth, and the main point is a natural force. There are basically four forces that are known to man: gravity, electromagnetism, a strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. Gravity is important because it is a product of the weak nuclear force and electromagnetism, which is a magnet produced by a current of electricity. So let's get down a little bit. Nature provides the planet with electromagnetic fields of different sizes and strengths, which converts the planet's excess of weak nuclear force, also called nuclear pressure, into a bipolar positive and negative gravitational field. So this is what we're talking about now. All the options they have, along with bending time. We have gravity. This weak nuclear force is very abundant. And because this variation occurs because the planet has two sets of poles: the geographic North Pole, South Pole, which are the planets, which the planet spins around, 23.5 degree axis, and the magnetic North and South Poles, which are about 11 degrees from geographical poles. And it says the magnetism that is detectable by a compass is called surplus magnetism. This surplus magnetism is what extraterrestrials use to propel their crafts. An artificial field is produced by stripping away the electron from the atoms, which is called monopolar. Then the excess nuclear pressure is amplified. This type of gravity is then combined with the weak nuclear forces or gravity in a particular way. The artificial gravity of the ship is matched against that of the planet, causing both fields to cancel the other out, and the ship moves off the planet's surplus magnetism. Okay? And then if you read page 93, 94, it shows you how it actually works. It gives you diagrams. All right. So at that point, the reason why I'm also adding that to the answer, Kadal, is the fact that, yes, you're right. They use both are very similar, as bending time and the warping. But at the same time, some of this is mistaken for warping because they're traveling at such tremendous speeds and matching their poles of magnetism and power of that craft with the Earth's magnetism and poles and gravity, etc. So it can have the ability to go out of the grasp of normal gravity, which causes it to travel at the speed of sound faster, and then yes, it will go into different time, break the barrier of time, break the barrier of sound, going faster than that until it could go into another dimension, if you will. But that all has to do with the ship's makeup. If the ship is made or qualified to have this type of utility on, such as the plasma that's in this wheel that you see around certain crafts, and it's also called a magnetic well, and that's what's talked about on page 93 and 94. I hope that answers your question for them. You're welcome. Next question from the room. Oh, the reference I was given from the Holy Chapters as far as the greens and how the true color is violet. I was saying purple, it's actually violet. That's chapter 19. Okay. Tablet 1. Verses 12 through 13. That's the Holy Chapters, chapter 19. Tablet 1, verses 12 through 13. It says, green is conceived between the color blue of the seas, water, and the color yellow of the sun, rays, being the fourth color in the prism, the fourth point in growth or creation, the mental plane. My true color, talking about the Massachusetts, is violet, being conceived from the color blue, symbolic of the seed, and the color red, symbolic of the blood. So when I personify in the flesh as a physical blood being mixed with the water's life, I reside in the essence of the violet, which is at the tip of the prism, like the wings of the peacock. You can refer to Hatarak Atlantis, page 24. Pretty much that whole page as a cross-reference. Take the next question from the room. All right. So whenever has any questions yet, I'll give some more information on what the Kabbalah was asking. A lot of the some of the questions that are being asked today have a lot to do with also the knee stones. You know, not just for travel, but also for information, because they're always given some type of mission or information or instructions, if you will, to go on these travels, referring to these extraterrestrial beings, etc. And a lot of it has to do with either trying to get knee stones or these information devices to hold this information, or having it and giving a mission to go out and teach from it. So for those who are not aware of a knee stone, these would be similar to like CD discs, DVD discs, or flash drives or hard drives with tons of information about a particular topic. You have the red knee stone, ruby, you have the sardius stone, blue, sapphire blue, and the emerald stone, the onyx stone, on and on and on. Mentioned in various places throughout our doctrine. So I would definitely also, if you go ahead those type of questions, research the knee stone information throughout our doctrine, because it ties in a lot with that. As I was going through my reference binder, asking questions, knee stones, or something having to do with these sardius stones, also called the tree alphabet, on and on, kept on popping up. And they were also called it scrolls of all, tablets of destinies, many, many different things. Anything pertaining to how we store or retrieve information, you can refer to Dimensional Shift, page 10, verses 98 to 108, and on. That's one reference to use. Somebody asked about that, retrieving and storing information. Okay. Just wanted to add that in. All right, next question from the room. Here's a question from the room. Are we being prepped for individual or mass abductions based on the cycles and earthly calamities pending? Okay. If no coincidence that you asked that, the brother or sister, whoever asked that question, we were just going over this in our advanced action class as one of our topics as far as preparation of getting out of here. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. I'll repeat the question I was asked. Very good question. Are we being prepped for individual or mass abductions based on the cycles or earthly calamities pending? Yes. That started way back at the beginning when the Master Teacher began. But to highlight key things, well, some key things, is throughout the various updates, the hundreds and hundreds of updates we've been given during that time since 2002, one of the preparations for us to be taken up for those that are qualified is when he would say certain things like stop eating sugar. Then he said stop drinking dark colas. Then he said stop drinking seafood because they're finding cancer in the water, cancer in the fish. Stop eating bread. All let me see. oranges, stop eating spinach because they're treating with radiation. All these different things, Master Teacher was saying, prepping you. You know, when he said stop eating sugar, I'll never forget, he said, because somebody asked him a question like, well, what's I'm already doing that? What should I do? He said, well, it's for all you all. What you're already doing is fine. But if you do it, meaning follow his lead, as what he's telling us, it's going to be easier for you to make the transformation. Okay? So yes, the transformation, yes. But it's not just for earthly calamity, there's many different things, because as we evolve, our involvement is based on us being able to adapt to new environments, meaning on new planets, other planets, other star systems, galaxies, on and on and on. And we were just talking about this as one of our topics in the advanced doctrine class. And we gave this reference. And it's, once again, we were going from the previous doctrine and we're relating it up to now. And that is the Holy Tablets, chapter 6, chapter 15, verses 145 to 198. And to answer your question, yes, this is done, and I'm reading from verse 185, it actually answers your question right to the point. This is done, you know, of being prepared, this is done in the event that a transfer of the species, talking about us, to a new environment, which is necessary for the survival of us. This is why our electromagnetic stage of evolution will itself be changed to allow for new patterns of ongoing evolution. And it says, Merkaba mechanisms gives the cue for the timing of biological change by the Earth's magnetic cycles. So let's stop there real quick. It says, Merkaba mechanisms gives the cue, meaning like, okay, now, go now, boom, do this now. Gives the cue for the timing of the biological change in us by the Earth's magnetic cycles. Merkaba, like I said, we were talking about this, is a set of counter-rotating electromagnetic energy spirals. So, rotating counterclockwise, these energy spirals, made out of energy, moving or rotating counterclockwise, and they are electromagnetic. And they're constantly expanding and contracting, just like everything else, our bodies, the earth, etc. And it's a field, actually, it's like an energy field, almost like a matrix field, that you see in the picture, Astral Pack number 19, is the male-female. That matrix chart, if you can recall, is like a female body, and then it has all the X's, like the X chromosome within a matrix. So it's kind of like that. It's an energy field. But in the field, these energy spirals are rotating counterclockwise, which is natural time, which is the field that our genes and genetics go back to and came out of, which is mentioned in the older astral facts called the morphogenetic field. Okay? And some of the preparatory work that has to be done on us now, if we're going to say yes, we can't just leave the answer as yes. Well, that's right. We have to go and give background data on what are these preparations that we have to make. That will, for those that are qualified, what are the preparations for these beings in order to make this astral mutation? Okay? And we'll go here. It says, the light renders the alumni, a member of the Illuminati, but a new light other than the fire is here. The keys to future luminaries are called the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek, are electromagnetic forces. These forces affect the rhythms of life and the appearance and extinction of a species within the Earth's magnetic field. The higher evolution will give a better understanding of how electric forces alter biological rhythms. This will allow Adamites in this consciousness time zone to receive whole light beings. Well, You get a place atomized with us. This will allow us in this conscious time zone to receive whole light beings, these are the eight beings, who will give instruction of the next ordering of evolution in our universe. The key speaks of how the Earth's species has a direct light arc. This direct light focus, which controls its biological rhythms. We will soon learn that his life system is not directly dependent upon the solar magnetic field to regenerate their biological rhythms. A new source of light is now reaching our solar system and interpenetrating Earth's magnetic field, altering the biological rhythms. Its color is emerald, green light, contrary to the amber red light. This is forcing the species, meaning us, to leave behind its old time cell of perception on the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels. This must take place before the species can go into a new time scale of consciousness. As the arcs of light begin to change, a different light force is beginning to work with the electromagnetic forces. This is causing the magnetic fields of the brain cavity to be sufficiently raised to a higher mental frequency, allowing us to receive whole light beings upon the reinsertion of the barotheric gland and the reactivation of the supreme melanin. We will have the brain of an electromagnetic computer and will be forced to adapt to an enlarged electromagnetic spectrum. Just keep them down. These changes are the result of a new biological light that controls being introduced by the new administrative order in conjunction with the Council of Nine Ether. So let's stop this for a quick second. As you see, we have to be qualified. There is a administrative order, like the government, but a galactical government, if you will, which would be our overseers, watchers, protectors, guides. It says it's being introduced by the new administrative order in conjunction with the Council of Nine Ether. These changes are necessary to prepare our mortal evolution to overlap with whole light beings of advanced creation in the evolution of new astral mutations. New astral mutations will take place where new magnetic lines bring about the balances in the energy coupling from a proton-electron grid to a electron-proton-electron grid. And I'll stop at this one. Here, the bioenergy field of the body inherits a new electron and positron pair, and the blood circulatory systems inherits new magnetic lines of force. And it goes on and on and on. So these are some of the many preparations that are being done to us for those that are qualified to make that journey up on out of here. And if you refer to an older update, it gives a chain of events, chain of travel. You don't just go out there, boom, and you're out of here. It's a chain, and you'll be stopped at certain ports on certain planets in certain star systems to do like a check, and make sure you're able to go to the next stage. If not, you have to stay there and get yourself together. It's not like you just go straight from 1 to 9. You're going to go 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and each is like a checkpoint. So you go from here, near the Earth, to the dark side of the moon, and from the dark side of the moon to Mars. That's another checkpoint. And then from Mars, then you may go to Capacre, which is the middle star in Orion's belt. And then, once again, each point, you'll only go to the next point if you're qualified. And then from there, you go to, like a Ma'alan, or as we used to call it, Ilion. And then from there, if you're qualified, you'll go on to Res, or Merat. And then if you're qualified, you go on into dwell on the Ahyanan continent. Next question is, they asked, when will the Master Zet be restored? Back on verse 158, this is allowing us to receive whole light beings upon the reinsertion of the barotheric gland. That'll be the point The varipara gland, once it gets reinserted underneath the submental region of underneath the mandible. You have the chin. If you follow your chin down, have your finger down underneath there, up the mental, sub below, under mental, connected to the mind. They're going to use the Memphians are going to use what they call skin stitching. If you look that up, it's a very intricate process. Of course, they can use lasers and many different things now, rather than just more like a tattoo gun, if you will. It can be skin stitched into the body. Once that gets reconnected with the neurotransmitters and nerves, etc., because there are neurotransmitters also in the nose, not just in the brain. But if you take off the cartilage of the nose, you'll see 3 bones. This is called your personal mir, or pyramid, personal pyramid. If you took those bones out, attached to those bones and membranes are nerves called neurotransmitters. Neuro is the Latin and Greek of saying nerves, transmit, receive, and give. These neurotransmitters are what gets agitated when you say or pronounce the N's and M's in our language. This is why if you go all the way back to the teacher's guide, the language teacher guide, when we were speaking the European script, which is for my heretics, you'll see he says stress the N's and the M's. So if you're saying, Memphians, or Memphians, or if you say Amun, has an M and N, you say Amun, because you're still agitating or vibrate those bones, close to the pyramid, which are attached to the neurotransmitters, which will agitate them, which will cause a ripple effect in the brain. And it will also, the sound will generate what they call resonancy, which is like moving toward, against each other, in the head socket, the skull, causing beautiful chain reactions to occur. So I'll give you an example. When we used to do this years ago, if you took the top of the head off the skin, then you made surgical cuts where you were able to open the skull, you were able to take the brain out. When you look down and take the eye sockets out, when you look down on the skull now, and do a cross section of it, it's in the shape of Khonsu, which is the double-winged falcon, the traveler. No coincidence. That sinus, that empty space is called a sinus, and it's called the sphenoid sinus. And the reason I mention it, not only does it refer or look like one of our audience, but that's where the resonancy is. So this is why naturally the God of Nebu or blacks of Negroes have naturally deeper and masculine voices in other cultures, because of this resonancy in this sinus or empty cavity in the brain. Okay? So that's a side note. So getting back to the masculine being restored, the varipara gland, which look like glow-in-the-dark pool balls, as the master explained, will be skin stitched into the submental region, which is where the leaf was. The leaf would be the artificial beard made out of horsehair that us ancients would wear to signify that they knew what lied underneath the leaf, and what lied underneath the false beard, which was the varipara gland. Once that gets attached to these neurotransmitters that we just talked about, then that, and along with the mitochondria being activated more, this, along with a series of chain events, will cause the triggering of the release of the Memphis. That answers the question. So I know that was kind of a lot. So if anyone needs me to talk or explain a certain portion, I'll have to do that. Okay. Last question from the room.
I have a question.
Yes.
Question I have is, when did we lose the Memphis? And at what time did we lose that, the Memphis? When we had it?
Okay. If there's code references you go to, one is the Palm book, as well as many others. So when we, let me back up. Rahba Yananan said one time, he said, your heart pumps involuntarily. You can't control it. Your brain operates, your nervous system operates without your control. The blood is pumping right now involuntarily. Now, you can stop breathing like voluntarily, right? You can just stop breathing. You with me so far? Yeah?
Sure, I'm with you.
Okay. So you have voluntary and involuntary actions. Things that you can control voluntarily and you can't control involuntarily. At one time, we were able to do everything voluntarily. Control it. We had the ability to be able to do so-called supernatural things voluntarily. When we gave up the ability of doing things voluntarily, it became involuntary. And that's when the chain of events started happening, when we start dumbing ourselves down. We started allowing, depending on other things, first and foremost, to do things for us. But like now, you have the information age. So now, rather than, like the master said, having a phone book where you had to memorize everybody's number, okay, this is Jay's number, this is Sam's number, and you knew your number was by heart, people's phone numbers. Now, in the phone, you barely remember people's phone numbers because you just hit the name, and they call it, it's just a tone, and they call it a person. That's first. I mean, he was saying that voluntary controls we had of our bodies and mind were given up and made involuntary. So the reason I mentioned the poem book now as another reference, because this would be the account where Sabat or Gad or Gadad and Matat or Mit were in that protective park, recreational park called Eden. And you had Bess, is the one who used cheetah fur to cover one of those beings after the fact that they realized that they was Memphis, as the story goes. So that, I'm just painting the scenario. So at the point in time when they were ashamed, things that they didn't worry about, now they worried about. I'm just leading up to the actual answer. This is when Morgoth Cherister was sent down to remove, well, I'm just combining stories now, sent down to remove the Barrifade gland at that point in time from the ties of Pa and Amun, of course, and other set of beings from Amun and Lilith. But the main thing that the master was stressing was, it was at the point where we gave up voluntary or involuntary. So this created fears. And from fear comes all the different things. So you read the potential scroll, the mind scroll. Fear is what causes, anger, lust, jealousy, all and they're called the quantuplicated ethers. The quantuplicated ethers. That's fear, just fear, lust, envy, hate, all these different things. It developed fear. So it was the point where, when the voluntary was given up for the involuntary, the fear set in. So now there's a gap of fear. So now that makes a room for dependency, lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence, questioning things that you normally didn't question before. So it was that time period where Morgoth Cherister was sent down to say, hey, you're going to have to, you have to take out the Barrifade gland. And they, the Bible picks up, they were no longer in communication with the Most High. So on a time reference, to lock it into, because there's not an actual date, but to give a time reference, we were just talking about this in the last this will be the time, depending on what set of beings you're talking about, this will be the time. So there was many different sets of time. So you have pre-dynastic time. I'll start from here and then move up and go down. You have to keep in mind before I say what I'm saying, I will establish something first. There was two sets of beings after each particular disaster or when a race died off. So, for example, you had Hot and Hotat, or Hat and Hatat, okay, of the, what we used to call the Altos, or the Paralysis. So, actually, Hot and Hotat didn't die. Their race was destroyed or died off. Before those two beings knew, before those two beings already knew that their race was about to die off. They already knew something was about to happen. What they would do, they would get a group of selected individuals from that particular race of Hotat and Hor, and put them in either, if they were water beings, they would put them in underground water storage places or underground caverns if they were oxygen, until the natural calamity or until the race died off, and then they would come back out. Those beings that would come back out would be the next set of individual beings, or as we say, like the word, next set of Adam and Eve. So next would be Tak and Kaktat, or Kaktat and Kak. Same thing will happen. The next set will come out will be Amun, Tat, and Amun. And the next set, and then later on down, okay, I'm moving back, more near where we are now. You had Pa and Anas and Atum and Lilith, where it picks up in the El Holy Torah story of when the peripheral gland was extracted by Nergal Sherester. So I'm just trying to give you a time frame starting back, bringing us to that time frame. So prior to this, things were very voluntary. You were able to control your breathing, control this, control that, until it became involuntary. Last but not least, last example. I'll speak very vague on it because it's an AO information, so not so speak very vague. So in the breath scroll called Sme means breath, or the masters of the breath. These beings are able to control the blood circulation, circulatory system, lymphatic system, on and on and on. And some of these masters are recorded as going to the bottom. This is what I'm about to say now is not written in our doctrine. So I want you to think, oh, he made that up. I'm not doing that. I'm not quoting from nothing. This is just from when you read about other masters in the records of doing things. There's some masters, let's say in India or China, that will swim to, on a hot summer day, when it's too hot outside, they'll swim to the bottom of a lake, sit at the bottom of a lake or pond until the sun goes down. Meaning that they have to control all the systems in their body for at least a couple hours until the sun went down during that time, and then swim back up and handle their business. So all this you can read about, not what I just said, but as far as controlling things voluntary, that's touched on in the death book, which is a guide to the master series for the instant Egyptian order. Okay? It shows you also how to transmit energy for their businesses to heal people on and on and on. All right. I hope that answered your question.
Sure, you answered well. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. This question from the room.
How back? Can I be heard?
Yes, you can be heard. How you doing, bro?
Nakab, yes, sir. Nakab. How are you?
I'm okay, Wahwe.
I commend you on your efforts for the class.
Oh, thank you.
At Noble.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just want you to recognize, or I'd like to make you aware from my perspective. But my question is, my question is it against our way as must battle to burn candles for Salafu, or burn candles or kindle that flame. Is that tied to worshiping the God of light and fire?
Well, I'll answer it like this. When you have your personal altar, as Master should explain it, in every one of our schools, in our sacred orders, he would say you can burn unscented candles. So you might take 3 on your altar and do your meditation or concentrated exercise that you were given at that point in time. For a healing ritual, you use a blue candle. Okay, so you can do that. I'm just mentioning all the things he said rather than saying yes or no, because that's a master teacher question. Say yeah or no. But he did also say, be careful of lighting fires on their so-called holy days, like Sundays, such like that, because it may attract something or some type of beings, and those beings thinking that you're acknowledging them, as far as open fires, stuff like that. As far as candles on your altar, acknowledging your Salafu, our ancestors, our guardians, watchers, protectors, overseers, Memphians, that's always been said to do by our master teacher. And he uses the unscented ones, besides from the healing ritual with the cinnamon and honey, you hold the blue candle. So, Well, open fires. And talk up there.
Yeah, I was specific on the candles, not necessarily open fires, just more of the candles.
Okay, yes.
How cool is this?
Everyone has very, very, very good questions. Please keep them coming. We have about 10 minutes left.
I have a question.
Yes.
How's that?
What I ask?
I have a question from Yeah, possibly.
Okay, hold on. Cost of records, ask for that.
Oh.
Okay, the page?
Page 2.
All right.
And it's in reference to verse 4.
Page 2. Okay. Al-Lahaj language makes things clear like no others, such as Ajar opposites, or Ajar opposites. Ashuk, unconditional love, divine love, becomes Khashua, required, and Khashua, condition. The true lettering of the word Khasha, require, Khashua, condition, from Khasha, all-inclusive conditions. That which exists, those who exist.
Right. So at what point are we required to have that unconditional love?
At what point?
Saul.
Okay. We were answering earlier about the crafts being made and coming down, prepared. That's something that we should be working on. Okay, somebody, I think I'm echoing or something. If somebody take me off mute, I think somebody has me on mute. Has me on speaker. Okay. That right there should be, as far as worked on, from the point in time we come into the doctrine and are informed about Asha, which is our divine type love. Now, of course, a lot of us can achieve that right now, or maybe some of us haven't achieved it. But that's what's going, as far as the point, and we'll have to have it, that is what is going to get us on this crafts. Because we're going to have to merge into them, because there's a biomechanical entity, alloy, metal, plus cells, organs, so thinking. So we're going to have to merge on this. So that will be the final point where we have to have it in order to get up out of here before the calamities happen. But as far as it being, let's say, worked on, that's something that we should always be making. I like saying multiple attempts each day to do and strive for. I hope that answers your question, sis. You there, sis? Next question from the room. Is that you, sis? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. Okay. There?
Hello.
Okay. Now, I was just, did you hear my answer, or did I cut off still?
I did not. It cut off like right then. I was like, oh no.
That's okay. No, I was just saying, as far as the point, I was doing like a pre-answer. That's something that we should be working on when we first come into the doctrine, once we're informed about what Ashuk is, the divine love. But as far as like the point of it, I would just say we have to have that in order to get on these crafts, which was a lot of people are asking about today. Why? Because we have to merge in with it, because it's a biomechanical entity, made out of energy, crystal self-thinking, along with alloys and metals. So that's something that we always should be working on and make. And I was saying, I like saying, I make multiple attempts each day, on a daily basis to live that, express that, along with my mistakes. So that's something we should be working on every day. But the point where it's kind of like the cutoff point is up until that time in order to get on that class, I know, but you might want to ask the teacher about, as far as I'm sure he knows it. Certain point. Well,
I was asking the question because all the previous questions were, kind of sort of about reading, and
yes,
and when I read the beginning of the scroll. I got that initially, and I closed the book because I'm like, wow, it's required. So it's a requirement,
Yes.
Yes. So I just wanted to make sure that I was understanding exactly what it was saying, and that's what I was feeling when I read it. So.
Okay. Okay. Also, if you go to the coming forth by the point of dawn, the coming forth by day, or the Egyptian Book of the Dead, also called. Now you're talking about, during to your best ability, up until the time where you'll be questioned, so you can qualify to make it up out of here. That's where it comes where your intentions, will be weighed against my whatever, just, So I think that's where that comes in, as long as you did your best, your intentions, were pure, you were working on that, you were humble, you admitted when you're wrong, you tried to not do that wrong no more, you did your best ability. That's where all that comes into play as far as the weighing of the scale now. So they just say, well, she all right, come on. You owe me $5, baby, come on, come on, as long as your class is craft with your thoughts, you're all right, Yeah. I remember, on a little side note, I remember the master was teaching a joke, and he said, to get on the craft, you have to all be like the same mind state. Because if you think of oh, I miss my so-and-so, or what about my son, or this, you will off for the craft, and it'll crash or something. And he jokingly said, that's why I will not do on craft with any of y'all. Wow. And we just kind of stopped it up, and I was like, wow, okay. This is real. So,
most of us are just made lifestyle changes, throughout this whole journey, you know what I mean? So,
yes.
You know what types of energies that you need to be around and whatnot, so you know what your focus is.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Fantastic. Awesome.
A beautiful class, by the way.
You all make the class.
All of us.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Next question from the room. We got about 1 more minute on my time. Get another question in. There's a question coming in from the YouTube room. What is I don't see anything else. Oh, okay. What is the difference between Nebu, meter, and Sabbatic? The question was, what is the difference between the Nebu, meter, and Sabbatic? Okay. Nebu meter, also called Nebu Netter, or Mother Nature. Okay. If you refer to the Black Book, you take a look at the Atumbre, it talks about this. As far as when you say net, from certain communities like the Asarset, the Society, so they use the Nebu Netter. The D and the T are interchangeable, even the P's sometimes, or G's, along with the vowels are very interchangeable with ancient Semitic languages. Okay? That's talked about in the intro of almost every older Wu-Nuwapu script scroll. Nebu Netter is also saying Mother Nature. Okay? The Nebu Netter was also extracting the Greek and incorporating into it. So that was after the Greek invasion of Dynasty. So some of the letters are still using partial Greek hints in it. Whereas Sabbatic is pre that. The language is pre that. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was another question. So the language, Sabbatic, if you go to the intro of any of our hardbacks, as far as the El Holy Quran, as the Torah, as the Zabur or Psalms, or the Injil, if you give a language chart, I'm going to go to that real quick, give a bad reference. And you see at the top of this chart, at the time, we say cuneiform, that we all know cuneiform came out of Africa or Egypt and was taken over into the Mesopotamian area. So this would be considered the mother language prior to the distortions and travels of this language, or this mother language. So Sabbatic would be this mother, a part of this mother language that we know. And I'm trying to look for this chart real quick. Hold on. So as the languages traveled, as different rulers were ruling, as different invasions were happening, as different cultures got their hands on these languages and scrolls, things changed. Even with rulership, things changed. So Sabbatic was prior to many of these other, quote unquote, hands were put on it in the distortions. So this Sabbatic language was also now another main difference is Sabbatic would be the language, but when you're saying Sabbath, you're also saying Sirius. Or as the Bible says, heavenly host with a T in front of it, Sabbath, or Sabbath. So this would be the language of the beings coming down even prior to these pre-dynastic beings. These are the beings that were coming down that weren't even considered Negroid stock people. These are our ancestors that closer back to the original form. But prior to having chromium in their bodies used to protect them from erosion on this planet, we're talking about a stage of beings prior to that. So these will be the ones we used to call the Sabatu, the Enads, or the Kamu-Yi. So when you do your chants, second set of beings, you have the Mikaru, would be the Ugos, the Kamu-Yi would be the Sabatu. These would be the beings spoken about angels as the heavenly hosts. And I'm trying to find this language. I think it's in L's and Jill in the introduction. So you see on the top of the chart, you have cuneiform. And then as the chart is going down, this is when more additions and invasions started to take place. You got Ugarik, you got Pharaohic, on and on and on. You got Mandalian, you got Samaritan, Galilean, goes further down. So if you go to the L's Holy Injil, introduction, page 15, not page 15 of the actual scroll, the introduction, Roman numeral 15. You'll see it's straight from the elders. You see cuneiform, which would be Sabbatic or Rocket, how you want to go with it. This was brought down from Sirius, or Saba, or Septet, Office, on and on and on. The language or the tone spoken by them. This is one of the main differences. Whereas the Mintuneta was more spoken here with small illustrations of the Greek script. Okay? So that introduction was on page Roman numeral 15 of the L's and Jill. And you can also refer to the insert of Genesis 4, chapter 4, verse 15 insert in the actual L's Holy Torah. It gives the language breakdowns, or language build, as I said. I hope that answers Bruce's question. Another thing, once again, if you refer back to the first reference I gave, was some people call it the black word, it's probably called the sacred record, the Atimre. You'll find that when you say meter, you're missing out some of the tonage. You know, when you say you're missing out on the word structure, the roots, you're missing out on the suffixes and prefixes, which put more emphasis on what it really is and gives more of the meaning and shapes the meaning of the word. So the structure alone, when you say meter or meter, you still, I mean, it's a more of an earlier way of saying Mother Nature, but it's still missing some of the tonage. You just tell by the structure of the roots, etc. Prefixes, suffixes missing, etc. When you say, let's say if I want to denote a female watcher, guardian, protector, overseer, it'd be Methot with a T. But when you say Netu, you don't hear all that. You just hear meter. So that can mean either one, where it's sabbatic, it's more specific, it's more directional, homing in on certain beings, certain things, etc. So even just on the root part of it alone, it's definitely more direct and specific. And you see that we're getting closer and closer to not using vowels. So let's say if you say a planet in the 19th galaxy, that galaxy is called Ma'alan, which we used to call Ilion. If you take out that I in that particular planet, the 8th planet, you still know what that planet is, which is Ursk, or Ursk, if you take out the vowels. So as you see, and if you follow the language as it grows and expands, you'll see that with knowing the roots, it's more identifiable just by knowing the roots alone. Thanks to Paul Badray and the other players in the call, the language challenge. That's one thing I'm noticing as well. So those are some of the many differences from Sabbatic and the Mutunetic. I'm sure everybody's going to expound even more of it. I hope that's a question. All right, it was 6:08 my time, which is 9:08 everybody else's time. So I'm on the East Coast. I know y'all have to chant. So I thank you all for a wonderful class. You all make the class once again. You all's questions, beautiful questions, make the class. We're on here every Sunday for question and answer classes. Please continue. Don't forget about the Wednesday's advanced doctrine class. You have that. Make sure you have a 3 reading binder, stickies, etc. That's about it, family. Wonderful class. Please keep the questions coming. Please learn the language. Don't forget about your 8-year studies. And of course, please keep up with the Master Teacher Face. And you all have a wonderful shadow hour. Wadu, yes, sir.